The moment the steel door of the abandoned St. Jude's Hospital slams shut, you realize the silence isn't empty. It's full. It's packed with the thick, low-frequency hum of dead electricity, the faint metallic scent of dried blood, and the oppressive, lingering echo of 1,000 pain-laced screams. They sealed the place after the infamous 1978 blackout incident, when dozens of patients and staff vanished in the dark. For Alex, a seasoned urban explorer with a history of chasing sonic anomalies, the third-floor East Wing was the target, the rumored epicenter of the vanishing. He set up his sensitive acoustic array in the main corridor, a long, warped tunnel of peeling green paint and broken fluorescent fixtures. The light from his headlamp struggled against the gloom, revealing countless scrape marks on the linoleum floor, leading in no discernible direction. As he activated his sound recorder, a high-pitched, almost inaudible whine began, a pure, clean tone that bypassed the ear and settled directly in the skull. It wasn't a structural noise. It was an electronic signature, the sound of an antiquated system still running, desperately trying to call for help. The electronic whine intensified, and Alex walked slowly down the corridor, aiming his thermal camera at the empty rooms. The whine was clearly strongest outside room 315, a heavy wooden door with a small steel observation port. The thermal camera registered a massive, localized pocket of white-hot heat emanating from the center of the door, completely defying the hospital's near-freezing internal temperature. He put his ear to the wood. The whine was deafening here, but beneath it, a new sound emerged, a fast, mechanical clicking, like a relay switch rapidly cycling on and off. He peered through the observation port. The room was dark, but a faint, pulsing red light flickered from a device on a bedside table. The room was not empty. A figure, barely visible in the dark, was sitting bolt upright on the bed, covered by a white sheet. As the red light pulsed, the figure raised a single emaciated hand, and the rapid mechanical clicking instantly shifted into a synthesized digital voice that spoke from within the room. Patient 315. Status. Awaiting power restoration. Alex recoiled, heart hammering against his ribs. The voice was cold, perfectly enunciated, and utterly devoid of human inflection. It was a digital record, a machine still running its final loop. But the pulsing heat and the movement of the hand were real. He knew the history of room 315. The patient inside was a victim of a botched experimental procedure, kept alive by a massive, complicated life support system during the 1978 blackout. The clicking and the digital voice were the last dying cycles of the machine, desperately trying to communicate its status. He pressed the emergency door release. It clicked once, the heavy steel mechanism responding to the long-dead electricity, but the door remained sealed. As he looked back through the port, the figure on the bed was no longer just sitting. It was standing directly at the foot of the bed, the white sheet draped over its form, and its head was tilted, listening. The digital voice spoke again, closer now, its mechanical cadence laced with a low, unnatural static. Power critical. Protocol shift. External assistance required. The figure's hand, now emerging from the sheet, was not an emaciated hand. It was a chaotic tangle of wires and rusted biomedical hardware, its fingers ending in 3 sharp, surgical steel points. The metal fingers scraped against the door from the inside, a high-pitched, tearing squeal that resonated down the corridor. Alex stumbled backward, his acoustic array picking up a massive spike in the electronic whine, accompanied by a new, horrifying sound. A thick, wet slithering like a heavy cable being dragged across a slick floor coming from the room's access panel near the ceiling. He realized the patient wasn't just a trapped victim. The life support system had become the patient, a monstrous amalgamation of flesh and faulty electronics, and the blackout had not killed it, but simply forced it into a predatory maintenance cycle. He turned and sprinted down the corridor, the whine now a constant, deafening tone in his skull. As he passed a broken utility cart, he grabbed a discarded fire extinguisher and slammed its heavy metal base against the thick fuse box embedded in the corridor wall. The explosion was immediate, a shower of sparks and a sharp metallic crack that fractured the deep silence. The electronic whine stopped instantly, cut off mid-cycle. The terrifying silence rushed back, but this time, it felt permanent. Alex didn't stop until he reached the main entrance. He jammed the fire extinguisher under the steel door and sprinted out into the clean, cold night air. Safe outside, he looked back at the third-floor corridor. It was utterly dark, the silence unbroken. But as his eyes adjusted, he saw a single faint red light blinking from the observation port of room 315, a tiny, defiant pulse in the blackness. He knew the machine had only been temporarily interrupted. He checked his own pulse. It was erratic, thready. He looked down at his forearm, and beneath the skin, a faint, rhythmic click-click-click had begun, a low, mechanical pulse that mimicked the broken relay switch in the abandoned hospital. He had survived the encounter, but the faulty electronic life support had initiated a new protocol, and a piece of the machine was now attempting to maintain critical power within a new host. Subscribe to Whisper Dark for more.